Awesome. So, hi, welcome back to HornThrowers. I am here with Jake from the mighty Visigoth, and as I was just made aware a few moments before the interview, also the creator of one of my favourite albums of all time, Echoes of Battle by Caladan Brood.
I was one of the co-creators of that record, yeah. It's me and one friend of mine, yeah.
Yeah, honestly, like it's the amount of replay that album has had for me is just, yeah.
It's actually kind of mind-blowing to me how much longevity that record ended up having. Like, we kind of thought when we released it that like maybe 5 nerds on the internet would think it was cool, and it just kind of grew a life of its own. So thank you. I'm so glad you liked that record.
No, like absolutely, and I'm sure this is a question you get all the time. I'm going to get it out of the way, and then we'll talk all Visigoth stuff after this. But is there ever going to be a second Caladan Brood record?
I don't know. To be perfectly honest, I don't know. I don't know. And if there is, cool. I do enjoy writing that kind of music. And if there's not, I think it's okay sometimes for there to be that one-off. You know, there's a certain magic that was going on when we put that record together that maybe we can't recapture. I don't know. We'll see. Time will tell.
Yeah. No, awesome. So, kind of a similar question. But, so it's been quite a while since the release of, was Conqueror's Oath or was Revenant King? I can't remember which order they came in.
Conqueror's Oath was the second.
Yeah, so Conqueror's Oath's been out for quite some time now. Any plans for a follow-up? I know you've done a couple of singles.
Yeah. So this was the last show of this European tour. Hi, this is why my voice sounds like shit, because I've been singing every night for the last 3 weeks. Yeah, and I'm sad that it's over because I've had such a good time with this. I just want to keep playing shows, but also I think my body needs the rest, you know. Yeah. But as soon as we get back from this tour, we have cleared our schedule for, I think, 2 or 3 months, specifically to write the third record, which we already have written some material for, but that's going to be our main focus when we get back home. Yeah.
So, in kind of the vein of writing, etc., it seems like kind of like everything that you draw on lyrically appears to be like basically just kind of browse my DVD shelf at home, or like kind of just like looking at my bookshelf and stuff like that. What are the lyrical inspirations that you're drawing on in this coming record?
Okay, so there's a couple. One I can tell you for certain that I know, like we've already discussed as a band that we want to write a song about, because a couple of us have read these books and just it was funny too, by the way. I'll say what the books are in a second. But we had a discussion, I think, on this tour where one of us brought up these books, and like 2 of the other guys in the van were like, fuck yeah, dude, I love those books. We didn't even realize we were all into them, but it's the First Law trilogy by Joe Abercrombie. Yeah, you know. I adore those books so much, and like the characters in those books were just so engaging because the way that Joe Abercrombie writes, you really get in the heads of these wonderfully fascinating characters.
Like Glockner is like such an amazingly realized character.
Like sometimes you get the grimdark fantasy gets a little too up its own ass with the whole like grimdark thing. Joe Abercrombie really evades that, I think, and really does genuinely create characters whose motivations you fully understand. And it's almost like you feel bad for everyone because you understand the decisions they're making.
Well, yeah, like Glockner specifically, like he's such a tragic character, you know, the guy that was crippled by being tortured, and now he's like working for this Inquisition, like torturing other people in that kind of cycle of violence.
And he you can tell he definitely has a guilt involved there that's very like palpable, but at the just read, guys, if you're watching this, read the First Law trilogy by Joe Abercrombie. I'm very excited to kind of have those books inspire a song.
Have you read the Age of Madness trilogy, like the sequel to the First Law?
I have not, but I have them. It's kind of my reading homework when I get home, because I loved that original. I'm a late adopter. You know, I think I finished the 3rd book maybe a year ago. Oh, right. Yeah, and so it was specifically Logan Nine Fingers, the Bloody Nine, was a character that I just loved so much that I was like, we gotta write a song about these characters. It's so good.
I think I heard him described as the thinking man's Conan the Barbarian.
That's such a good way to put it. And actually, that totally makes sense. And also, like, Joe Abercrombie, the author, avoids a lot of potentially, I guess, what's the word you'd use? Potentially problematic ways that he could portray characters, and has really just created a fantasy series that is, it's engaging, it's action-packed, it like drags you, the pacing is just so good. It almost drags you through it by a rope, you know, while still being, you know, culturally aware and inclusive in a lot of ways that some other fantasy series sometimes are not. Yeah. And I just, wow, what a great fucking book series. Read them. They're great. And we're totally going to have a song probably about Logan Nine Fingers. So if there's a song on the next record titled The Bloody Nine or something to that effect, then you know that's what it's about. Yeah.
You've made me a very happy man.
Love it.
Yeah, so obviously, like, you guys were fantastic. What were you... sorry, I usually have, like, a list of questions to kind of, like, go through, but, like, this whole trip's just been, like...
Let's just talk.
Okay, so what do you think kind of, like, the main kind of, like, crux or inspiration for, like, Visigoth? Is there, like, one band that you guys kind of, like, massively vibe on that you kind of want to create that sort of spirit of?
Wow, that's a question. It is so hard to pick a single band. Like, I don't even know how to answer that. Wow, I don't know. What we're doing is definitely such a menagerie of influences. I don't think I could, in good faith, pick a single band. We're one of those bands, like, at band practice. Sorry, guys, I'm losing my voice a little bit. Okay. When we're at band practice, we, like, name song sections after the band that we're ripping off. You know, so we'll be like, oh, we're gonna do the Manowar chorus into the Bathory riff that then is gonna transition into the Riot Thundersteel part. You know, we're so, like, we're very we really compartmentalize all these influences, and all the guys in the band too have wildly different, like, we all listen to metal, but everyone's kind of contributing different elements to what we do. So there's no way I could pick a single. I can't do it. I'm sorry. I know this is, like, such a cop-out answer. I'm a coward, is what it comes down to. But I can't, because, like, for me, like, one of the things I really shoot for, believe it or not, is because we're not even playing, like, kind of the same genre, but mid-period Bathory is, like, super a big deal for me. Oh, let me see this. Oh.
Yeah, I got.
So you know exactly what I'm talking about. I feel like heavy metal music has a lot of cool things to learn from, like, Hammerheart through, Hammerheart, Twilight of the Gods, Blood on Ice.
Like, for me, Blood on Ice is the best album they ever produced.
As we lovingly call that record, it's the Bathwar album. it's Bathory playing Manowar. And Quorthon always claimed he had never listened to Manowar, but come on, dude.
Yeah, but Quorthon also claimed he'd never listened to Venom, and that's just clearly a lie.
Come on. Which, I mean, you gotta love the guy for his rock star bravado is kind of part of his persona. It's great, but
it takes a lot of courage to pull off assless chaps.
Hey, more power to him.
Yeah.
I wish I had that kind of courage. In the rhythm section specifically, is, like, mid-period Bathory is big for me. So, like, if you listen to... So Steel and Silver is a Visigoth song where you can specifically point to this, because I wrote the chorus riff to that song. And it does the rhythm section that follows the riff is such a Bathory thing to me. Yeah. Ba da 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 da.
It's got that driving thing.
Those bombastic rhythmic triplets where the drums follow the guitar riff is such a huge part of why I fucking love that mid-period Bathory stuff. You hear it a ton. It really starts happening on Hammerheart.
Yeah.
And then follows through hugely on Twilight of the Gods and Blood on Ice. And Blood on Ice for me is just, like, the Wood Woman, the Lake, back to back is One of my favorite sections of a metal LP of all time.
Oh no, like 100%. Like I've got like it on like a 2-disc vinyl thing, and like yeah, like that one side of it where it's going from the bit where he like discovers that like horrible like creature in the woods, and like he sacrifices his heart to gain and then into like when he sacrifices his eyes. And sorry, it's
Well, and it's great too because so my academic background is in literature, specifically medieval literature.
oh, that's
and
really interesting.
yeah, so for me, it's like listening to that record. He's very clearly using traditional folktale structures to the storytelling on that record, and it adds just a whole extra layer of like just making that nerd shit in my brain tick.
Well, I got that. I definitely got like the vibe, like the Sigurd, like and killing like Fafnir and all of that kind of like stuff, like as an influence from that, like Yeah, sorry, we're like digressing massively, but
Hey, that's what's fun about a conversational interview. We're not.
Yeah.
Fuck the question list. Let's just. I told you. Let's just chat.
no. Yeah, I'm like so happy that you you just seem to have like a sublime taste in music. Like,
Oh, thank you.
no, like seriously, like epic era Bathory is just like it for me.
But it's such a cool like where it's not traditional heavy metal. It's not, but it can influence traditional metal in some really cool ways. The Greeks are really good at this. Hellenic heavy metal has so many of those bands like worship that era of Bathory, and Greek metal was really like a big part of my listening habits when we started Visigoth. So I think I kind of absorbed those influences through that part of my musical journey, and I just no go.
So like which bands? Because like my knowledge of Greek metal goes as far as maybe Rotting Christ and Suicidal Angels, so they're the only Greek bands I know of. I love them,
Well,
but like
first of all, Rotting Christ is one of the best metal bands of all time for me.
Hard agree.
When it comes to extreme metal, like black metal,
Yeah.
Rotting Christ, fuck, easily one of my favorites. Also, Verathron, Necromania, all that early '90s like Greek black metal that's my favorite type of black metal, because the heavy metal and the rock and roll elements are very present in a way that they're not in a lot of other regional. So black metal is very regional sonically. Like you can typically with black metal, you can kind of tell what country a band is from just from the way it sounds. And like Greek black metal, the second you hear a Greek black metal band, you know they're Greek.
and that's like something really interesting, because like I do think like the black metal takes a lot from like the region that it's from, because I know that a lot of that kind of Pacific Northwest black metal we've had like talked about on the podcast before, like bands like Agalloch and things like that. All the bands from that region sound like that, and they take something from like and, even lyrical themes. It's all about like reverence for nature and things like that with them. But then you go to fucking Norway, Satanism and stuff like that, or like Viking shit. It's interesting how it almost becomes like the folk music of that region, just distorted and
That's a really good way to put it. Yeah, it is. It is in its own way, interestingly, a type of folk music, I guess. But when it comes to Greek heavy metal, some bands that I was listening to obsessively back when we started the band that, and the guy, if the rest of the guys were here, they'd be laughing because they knew, like at the time it was like, oh, it's a Greek band, Jake probably loves it.
Yeah.
It's like a couple bands to check out. Holy Martyr is fucking awesome. Lots of that Bathory rhythmic thing that I was talking about there. Battle Roar, not Battle Lore from Finland. Battle Roar with an R. Is an absolutely fucking phenomenal band. All of their records are great. Garrett from Sacred Steel actually did the vocals on one of their records. Very fucking cool. So yeah, that Greek sound is just so special, and there's something in the water there. The music, all of the Greek bands, both black metal and traditional heavy metal, have a certain. I hate to use this word because it's so overused. I know it's overused, guys. Deal with it. There's the epicness of Greek metal is so singular, and it just gets my blood pumping, So that's why I fucking love Greek metal.
No,
I don't even know how we got here, but
no, I'm happy to have this crash course in Greek metal. what bands are you excited about right now then? Like, like in terms of like newer kind of bands and stuff like that. I know you're very good friends with Sarah from Smolder.
Oh, Sarah from Smolder is definitely a dear friend. I really love Smolder. They're doing some really special stuff.
The new album was great.
It's fucking phenomenal. And live, guys,
Still haven't seen them.
you haven't heard Smolder till you've seen them live. They're a whole different fucking monster live. Like Sarah's stage presence and voice are just like magnified tenfold in the live setting. Her voice live is just like, don't miss them. If they come to your town, don't fucking miss that band. They're so good. So yeah, I love Smolder. God, I feel like this question is so like I don't even know where to begin. I'm really into Morgul Blade right now. Have you heard Morgul
We
Blade?
played him a few times on the radio show, actually. Yeah.
Morgul Blade fucking rules. It's the coolest blend of like epic traditional metal and black metal, which okay, clearly there's a theme here, right?
Yeah.
So really into those guys. High Spirits, right?
Oh, they were great tonight.
Are, I think, one of the best rock and roll bands going right now from a songwriting standpoint. Like, High Spirits just never makes a misstep. It's like every song is fine-tuned to be a pure serotonin bomb directly to the cerebellum. It's like, their music is like, seeing them live especially, is like you just if you could distill the feeling of experiencing joy into an hour-long musical experience, that's what High Spirits shows are like for me.
So,
No.
in terms of energy, I've only ever seen that matched by like the feeling I got the very first time I saw Halloween with Michael Kiske on vocals again. Like I don't know like if that's the same thing. Maybe it's just because they're playing in major keys and it's just fun music, but like it had that vibe for me.
Totally. Well, and High Spirits too is like clearly kind of their thing is writing positive, high energy rock and roll, and I ain't got time for negative shit in my life, guys. I have positivity and love. That's why I say it like on stage, like every night when we're on tour. It's heavy metal is love. It should be at least if you're doing it right. And that camaraderie that you get in the room and everyone just coming together regardless of who you are, what your background is, that's what heavy metal rock and roll should feel like, in my opinion. And my opinion's correct in this case.
I'm very grateful to you for like actually bringing up the whole heavy metal is love thing, because I was right in the middle of when that fight was kicking off down the front when you were like pacifying people.
We had to like tell people to stop fighting. Don't fight at Visigoth shows, dude. We're here. It's all love. It's all love.
We're just singing about battle, but don't actually do it.
Exactly. So yeah, High Spirits, big one for me. Obviously, I'm sure most of your viewers probably know our absolute brothers in Eternal Champion. Like those guys are our homies. We love them. And Arthur is, speaking of Eternal Champion, as well in Sumerlands, is just such a special guitarist. The way he writes riffs, it's like riffs inside of riffs almost. If you really sit there and listen to those, I remember he actually put some guitar tabs for a Sumerland song on the internet once, and challenged people to send him videos of just like, not challenged, like no, it wasn't confrontational. It was just kind of a fun like, hey, send us videos of you playing this guitar riff. And our guitarist Jameson learned the riff, and I just remember him talking about how like insane the chord shapes were, and just like he's like, I've never really thought about like these riffs moving around in this way. He's just a very special guitarist. He's like the new Jakey Lee.
Like Summerlands have actually, it's interesting you actually say Jakey Lee, because like Summerlands have got like that big 80s stadium metal sound. Like I'm thinking like, you know, like Ozzy sort of like Sin After Sin are kind of like in certain bits. And actually, and I think I did know that, but I'd completely forgotten until you like reminded me then that it's actually like, you know, members from Eternal Champion are in Summerlands as well. And
oh yeah. Well, and you have the inimitable Brendan Radigan on vocals. That dude is such a great fucking vocalist. He's fronting Pagan Altar right now as well. And oh yeah. Oh yeah. And you want to get fucking goosebumps going on the old armies, dude? Watch a Pagan Altar set with Brendan Radigan singing. There are moments where he sounds so much like Terry Jones. It's like the hair on your neck stands up. It's fucking incredible.
Like, you're making me excited.
Yeah. Well, he's such a diverse just multi-talented vocalist that I just respect so deeply. And he's a total fucking sweetheart in real life. So you always win points with me if you're a sweetie pie. Be a sweetie pie, guys. Be kind to each other. It's really important. The world's got enough negativity in it. Just fucking. So be like Brenda Radigan. Be sweet to the people around you. It's great. So that's Sumerland's Eternal Champion. I'm super into. I was gonna mention I really love Butcher, the Belgian Butcher. It's Butcher with an umlaut over the U.
Oh, because
Yeah, they are a band that just worships at the altar of speed metal in a way a lot of bands would probably love to produce, and just the amount of love you can feel in their music how much they love speed metal. And they put out a record called, and this might be the coolest album title of the last decade. They put out a record called 666 Goats Carry My Chariot. Yeah, it's like that. The album cover is a planet that's a skull that's vomiting a tornado of goats into outer space, where a knight is riding, you guessed it, a chariot being pulled by said goats on the front of the cover. It's so over the top in every way you want metal to be. And they're incredible performers. They are absolutely wonderful guys in real life. They're just sweethearts. That band fucking rules. Check out Butcher for sure for your speed metal. And then another band I'll shout out real quick, and then we can go on to the next question, I guess. Yep. So I know, I'm sorry, my friends. I'm probably forgetting a lot of people and bands that I really love. I'm just kind of spitballing here.
No, it's cool.
After 3 weeks of touring, I'm on like my last brain cell.
Well, we're appreciating you like wasting your last brain cell on us.
Hey, I'm loving it. I'm loving it. There's a band from Sweden called Century.
Okay.
That is some of the goddamn best heavy load worship I have ever heard. Like, the vocals are uncanny. They sound so close to heavy load. The song structures just nail kind of like heavy load's unique and catchy approach to writing, especially choruses. You want a good fucking chorus, you listen to Century. So really love those guys. And God, so many bands I could name, dude. Solicitor, great friends of ours, great fucking amazing band. Amy's just an incredible singer. I could go on and on. So we can move to the next one, but hopefully there's a couple names for you to check out.
They will all definitely be getting played on the radio next week.
Cool. Hey, like I keep saying, heavy metal is love. We're here to create loving, inclusive spaces for people to enjoy rock and roll music. Mm-hmm. That's what a Visigoth show is. And if you have a problem with that, you can fuck right off.
Well said. Anyway, moving swiftly past that then. So
I have, there are some people in my life that I'm very close with that come from some very diverse backgrounds. Mm-hmm. So those kind of issues are very close to my heart.
Yeah, same.
Especially with, I come from Utah, which is a state that has been actively disintegrating rights for transgender folk, which is very hard to watch, because there are some people in my life that are like my absolute, like, I could consider them extended family.
Yeah, I guess, she's my best friend, so like, 100% like.
There you go. And it's hard to be a person that just wants everyone to be able to thrive, living in a place that is actively trying to destroy that for people. It sucks. Yeah. I hate it, but hey, that's kind of why we're out here doing our best to bring joy to people's lives, playing some rock music. I know,
it was joyous tonight. Like, I'm circling back, and
I'm happy to hear that. It's so important to me that that's the main thing that shines through when we're playing is just be here in this moment. Let's be here together. We got enough shit going on in our lives,
No, like, absolutely, like, that's that would like your set was like a nice like hour of like escapism, like hearing some of my like current favorite songs and just like, and the fact that you opened one of my favorites as well, like Steel and Silver.
Thank you. Yeah. All about The Witcher. Yeah. Speaking of, see, and escapism through music, I don't think like sometimes people be kind of critical of the idea of our music is so on the nose about a lot of its literary and artistic influences with video games and books and stuff, and sometimes it's healthy and nice to have an escape from all the nonsense, because a lot of the games that we're writing songs about, like Dark Souls, for example, it's like, okay, we have some fucking songs about Dark Souls. I get it, it's dorky, but you know how many people have connected over playing that game? Like, even
we just interviewed a band who did like 2 entire concept albums about like the Dark Souls stuff. So,
which band?
Storm Ruler.
Oh, love Storm Ruler.
Yeah.
I love Storm Ruler.
All of their lyrics are about.
Trust me, I know. I'm a big, unabashed Storm Ruler fan. Hugely into that band. I think they're fucking great.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, clearly, emotionally, those games really resonated with people. In fact, I've talked often with my friends about how I think that the first Dark Souls game specifically feels like a giant long-form metaphor for overcoming depression.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah, so maybe it's because of the time in my life that I played it, or the things that, like, I genuinely think that game kind of helped me get through some shit, Sometimes it comes from unlikely places. For me, the unlikely place was Dark Souls. So, if we can all get in a room and sing about our favorite video game for an hour, why not?
Well, like circling back to The Witcher, though, it's not. So I understand, like, some people discount, like, kind of like escapism and sort of like fantasy, all that kind of stuff is like not dealing with these things. But like when you like even look at your like lyrics, like I have felt the hammer of prejudice, all that stuff, like because like racism, things like that are huge themes within The Witcher and stuff like that.
The Witcher definitely is very clever about the way it uses its medium to make social criticism. It's part of the reason I fucking love those games so much. And I'm not to say they're not problematic in some ways, because of course they are, but I think by the third game, the dev team was doing their best to put like their best foot forward with the way they were approaching those issues within the game's context. Absolutely. And I think that's great.
Yeah.
Yeah,
like absolutely. And I kind of like also see like the elves and the way that they're kind of like portrayed in it as almost like First Nations people in America and things like that, because
a little bit.
Being the original inhabitants of the country, and then
yeah. Oh God, you don't even want to get started on the way the United States treats indigenous people. It's terrible.
It's like despicable. I wrote like an essay about it for university about specifically during like British colonialism in America, and like the things like Fort Pitt and the smallpox blankets and all that. Yeah.
Oh, I know. It's the history we unfortunately live with every day. But hey, the whole point is to try to be part of the solution and not part of the problem if you can. So if our way of doing that is writing some songs about your favorite video game, then we're out here. We're not, obviously our music is not actively political, but we as individuals are deeply concerned with compassion, I think, is maybe the best way I could put it. We all are hopefully compassionate people that want positive change in the world around us. And if we can do that just a little bit by reminding everyone that heavy metal is love from the stage and bringing everyone together, then fucking, hey, I'll look at that as a win.
Yeah.
I guess.
For sure. I think it's like a sad state of affairs where I suppose like compassion at this point is considered political, like in certain cases, and it's just
why? But
yeah.
I know exactly what you're saying. Like somehow me simply saying that is gonna piss someone off that watches this, and I don't care. Fuck you if you feel that way, because we're all in this together.
100%. And I think like as we've been talking for quite a while now, I think heavy metal is love is a really nice note to end that interview on.
Yeah. Oh, it should be. And if it isn't, you're probably doing it wrong. I mean, I'm sure all the extreme metal guys would disagree with me. But look, you started loving black metal and death metal because it gave you some kind of joy. Come on. Like, this music is something that brings us all together. It should bring us all together. And don't let your music support the status quo. Dismantle that shit. Be part of the positive change in the world, guys. It's so important. It's so important right now, especially.
Absolutely.
So yeah, fucking heavy metal is love.
Sick. Heavy metal is love.